Welcome back to the MasterCoaches Wednesday Weekly Buzz. It's actually going to be held on Thursday this week because we're here live at the AVCA convention, and it has been a hot mess. We have so much background noise, but we have a great cast of guests that are going to come in and speak with you all. So I think we're going to enjoy this time together. Before we get started, I just want to make a quick announcement about our college transfer showcase that's going to be held this Saturday here at the AVCA convention at the Chice Health Center here in Omaha, Nebraska. The college transfer showcase is something we're doing for the first time this year to really give the opportunity for athletes that want to transfer from one school to another school to be able to be seen by all the college coaches that are here at the convention. I'm going to turn the show over right now to Mick Haley, who's going to introduce our first guest. All right, Mick, why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
Your mute's on, Mick.
Did it. Okay, we're going to try it one more time. I'm now unmuted. We're here live at the exhibitors hall. We've got so much going on here. We have some great coaches to bring their opinions to. But I'm going to start with Fran Flory. Fran Flory was just inducted in the Hall of Fame about an hour and a half ago. What a tremendous experience. Fran was the former LSU coach, both indoor and sand. She's been one of the finest coaches around the country. Fran, welcome on. Really appreciate having you on. What did you think of the ceremony, the Hall of Fame?
Well, I number one, it was incredible to be part of that type of event. And certainly I'm very grateful to be honored, but the number of amazing coaches that we have in this country, from the men's game to every division, and the knowledge and the dedication to the sport and the dedication to the players was incredible to witness.
I think we all were taken back by how special the ceremony was. You, Shelton Collier, Coach Brewer from Belleville High School in Texas. It was really fun. Is this something that you expected? You've had a full career of coaching. I was fortunate enough to be able to run into Margie and Cecil Hale, who picked you up as a high school athlete, put me in the back seat of the car and wouldn't let me out until I offered you a scholarship. That turned into a national AIAW championship. On to some coaching at a number of various schools, ending up at LSU. I think the all-time winningest coach there. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And this is nothing I expected, Mick. Certainly not anything I wanted to accomplish, honestly. You know me well enough to know that I'm about the student athlete experience and about what the sport does for these young women and men that play it, and both indoor and beach. So what it's truly an honor. And I was certainly surprised when Cathy DeBoer called me and said I was going to be inducted. It's nice to be recognized at the end. I can tell you that, and I know you well understand that. And Cecil and Margie certainly gave me my start with trapping you in the back seat of that car. I will never forget that conversation, and that is a true story, everyone. That is true.
So Cathy George, former Michigan State head coach, is on with us, one of the master coaches here today. Cathy, how do you relate to this?
Well, I just love Franny, and I do appreciate the way that you've gone about your business for all these years. Fran, you've been exceptional, and you are such a great role model for women and in this sport. I will tell you, Fran in all of her extra time put together a women in coaching, a thing called SOAR. And Fran, why don't you tell us about some of that and what that means to you?
Well, I tell you, Tanya Johnson, who is now the head coach at LSU, and I have talked for a long time. How do we help young women develop in the sport, and how do we further the sport and further coaching and get more women involved in the sport? And we decided to start a symposium for women. It started very small, but I tell you, it's taken off, and it's hard to get into. We can't take everybody that we want, but we've moved it around. We hosted it at University of Texas first when Tanya was there, and then we hosted it at LSU. And of course, COVID provided some challenges. Then we went to Georgia Tech. We're going in to Arizona in January, University of Arizona. And you know, it's just a safe space for women to share and learn and get a little bit better. You know, Cathy, you know this better than I. Women we don't share well. You know, we tend to stay in our little corner, and we don't want to give away our secrets, right? But men tend to like be all out, and they're going to tell everybody what they're doing because they're that confident and sure of themselves. And so this was started to kind of spearhead that type of dialogue and that type of environment.
Absolutely. And I thought it was a big hit being at one of those. It was really great. And Brad can probably, I know as a male coach, he does, he shares everything. And it was kind of refreshing just to kind of running into him at tournaments, but women don't share and they don't help each other as much as they should. So this is really awesome to see you and Tanya.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cathy, you were incredible. Cathy was one of our guest coaches and the featured coach. And you did an incredible job, and you opened a lot of doors for people and opened a lot of minds for women. And that's what we have to do. We have to rethink how we coach this game and what we do with the change in the transfer portal and everything. You know, we have to constantly be thinking and changing and evolving.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Fran.
Well, you know, so I think, Fran, I know I want to congratulate you, but I know Bill Walton also wants to congratulate you on your award. And he had a couple of stories I think he wanted to talk about.
Hi, Fran.
Hi, Billy.
So my only real big question is, this is your first year out of coaching. How did you feel in August as the season was kicking off? Did you have any depression, I miss what I used to do?
You know, I didn't. And you know, our gymnastics coach at LSU, who coached for 42 years, kept calling me and saying, do you have retirement remorse? I'm remorseful. Are you? And I am not. You know, I think that the good Lord put me where I needed to be when I needed to be there. I certainly missed the game, but I didn't miss the job. And that just reaffirmed that the right decision was made for me to step aside and let Tanya take the reins and take the keys to the car.
Well,
I love
and
that quote. I missed
Fran
the game,
was
but not
rocking
the
it.
job.
Fran was rocking some analyst work there too. Really freaking good at that.
Well, Jenny, I want to follow in your footsteps because you did a great job, and I absolutely love doing that. And you know, I think it's another way. We all want to find a way. I still want to impact the game, but how can we make it better? And perhaps that might be the next step for me to help make this game a little bit better if people see fit.
Well, that's pretty good. You know, Fran's got another meeting she's got to get to. But Bob, do you have any last things you want to depart here to Fran so she can get on her way? Bob, can you hear me?
Barely could hear you, Mick, but I think,
okay.
Fran, I just want to thank you for taking the time out. And like I think Mick was saying, that you have another presentation that you're doing. So, you know, we're going to let you go, and we're going to pick up from here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
Without Mick and Bob, I remember playing against your team at Tennessee. Without Bill Walton, without Jenny Hazelwood, without all of you, I am not who I am today. So you never know who you're impacting when you're part of this sport, and near and far, everybody's important to each other. And we need to remember that in our sport. So thank all of you for making the sport better, but also making me better.
Thank you, Franny. Thanks for coming on.
Franny.
That's wonderful. Okay, folks, we have two more guests that we want to introduce here. We got Brad Keller from USC falling asleep down here, and we got to keep him awake. And Jenny Hazelwood, who I know you know, Southern Mississippi coach, who's been on Volleyball magazine talk shows and done all kinds of television work out here. You two, tell us what you're seeing with the convention. What are your highlights here? Brad, we'll let you go first because we got to keep you awake here.
It's because he was up too late last night.
He was.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Hey guys, great to be here. First off, congratulations to Fran. I never got to actually be around Fran. I got the tail end of her career, but I know everything about her and what she's done, and I can't emphasize enough like how excited I am for her, and she deserves it. The convention you're asking about, how's it? Yeah. How's the vibe? How's everything?
Yeah.
Besides me falling asleep, I guess it's good. You know, the vibe is good. It's no matter what, at the end of the day, when you get to this stage, whether you're in the tournament or not, we're all exhausted. We're all getting sick, and we all are actually elated to see each other because we're all trying to do the right thing, and we're all trying to get to our teams where they are, and we can commiserate and we can like share stories and help each other. And I don't know, it's nice to see friendly faces that you don't see or talk to for the entire year. So the vibe is really good here, just in general.
Jenny, what have you found being here at the convention? You had a great first season here in the Sun Belt Conference at Southern Miss, redeveloping this program. Brad's got his program going now. He almost got into the tournament. He'll be in here next year. But what do you have to point out to people who haven't been to the convention? What are the highlights for you coming in like this?
Oh, like Brad said, connecting with coaches that you've known for years, meeting new coaches, that network, you know, when, you know, Fran's talking about as coaches opening up and sharing more, like you've got to have those connections, and just how good it does your heart to see your friends that you live far away from. And it's been, that part's really special. And the presenters are amazing. And if you are genuine about learning as a coach, you come to convention. That's just how I feel.
Walton's a long time head coach at the University of Houston, now working in Houston with juniors and a number of other areas. Bill, what do you want to ask our guests about the convention? You're back. I don't know if you've been back recently, but you're back. You look like you're having a great time talking to everybody. What do you want to ask our coach?
Yeah, the one interesting point about the convention, I had a lot of sponsorship deals that I worked with people. And one of the interesting things was that each of those sponsors told me that their favorite convention to come to was the volleyball coaches, because the volleyball coaches were the most friendly convention of coaches who talk to other coaches. They talked about going to the basketball, and the basketball coaches won't talk to each other. You can't even meet with, two of them won't even stand together in the same room. And football, and even the Atlanta sports show. A number of times they would say to me, my favorite show that I will not miss is the volleyball coaches, because the volleyball coaches are the most social of all the coaching groups that he comes to. So I encourage every volleyball coach to come. You can talk to the USC coach. You can talk to Jenny Hazelwood. You can talk to the Notre Dame coach. There's not a coach here, if you're a high school club coach, that you can't meet and talk to and network with here. It's a great chance to meet all the coaches. They're all open and happy to meet you.
You have a question for our guests?
Yeah, I do. And this is more of a volleyball question for both of them. There's all this talk about all these teams in the Final Four and how they've used the portal to get here. But my question to you guys is, what are you doing at the convention, and how come you're not on the phone recruiting kids out of the portal right now?
We are, is the answer to that. We are, while we're here.
I was on the phone for 3 kids already.
I heard there are 1,355 kids in the portal as of today. Is that accurate?
NCAA, Division II, Division III, Division I.
Yeah.
Brad says
That's
yes.
right.
So,
Yep,
so
that's right.
one thing that's really hard, and I just, I'll just chime in here, but how do you find that time, over holidays and that when the transfer portal, how are you managing all that, especially coming off of a tough season, you're ready to take that break. And this transfer portal, you have this period of time, this earlier closing point, does that make it harder, easier, or what's going on with that?
I would like to jump in on this right away.
Okay.
There is no time, Cathy. There's no vacation. There's no nothing anymore. And so last year I was, I think it was January 2nd through the 7th was my quote unquote vacation. And I was on the phone with the entire time. I was on the phone with Skylar Fields, Lauren Forte, Maddie Skinner, and I think there's a couple others as well. And I was in Hawaii. So I took we're not supposed to say this, but I took my Mai Tai and I walked away from the pool because I have a loud voice. And there was this grassy knoll area. And all I did was do circles around and talk on the phone the entire day, trying to figure out what the next moves are while my back got sunburnt and my front side didn't get tan at all. Because I was looking at my feet and walking around the entire day. And it sucked. It was brutal. But it also allowed us to get to the space where we got to the round of 32 and probably should have gotten further. And it's the new wave of volleyball. You have to be ready for the next move and you have to do what's best for your program.
Right. Absolutely,
Jenny?
Brett. It has been growing. How about Jen?
Yeah. I mean, it's, you immediately, as soon as your season's over and you kind of have an idea of what your players are doing, then it's a way to fill holes, right? Okay, we know we need this. We know, and right now we're still in the, this kid has a COVID year, but it's like you're 6 or 7 and they're grandmas and they're like, hey, I don't know if I want to play. And so it's keeping an eye on the portal for their position, but then having to have those conversations like, hey, if you're not going to return, we need to know that now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, thankfully our starting setter Kenzie Smith is a stud, she told us yesterday she's staying. And so just that kind of stuff is huge because we're still in that world of, are they going to play their last year or not?
Right. And as you say, it's incredibly difficult because they want to take their time for it and you're not wanting to push them out the door, but you really need an answer quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have people leaving or people coming?
We will have people coming. I don't believe anyone's leaving. I heard a rumor that one of my players was leaving through the wonderful world of Volley Talk, which was fantastic. And so I had to figure what that was. And that was drama. And then it wasn't. I just think the world right now that we live in is all social media driven and the next 5 seconds and whatever it looks like. And so you're always on edge, but all my player meetings went well. And I like where we're going. I love this team. And everyone seems to be really driven to get back in there and make a run next year. And so I love that. We got to find a couple players that want to match that intensity and vision and have the skill sets to help us.
So this whole portal thing started because they wanted an easier way for the NCAA to hand the paperwork because they were having to do so much paperwork for all the sports and transfer. And so they created the portal. But now we've got the unintended consequence. So this year they changed it so you can only enter on December 1st and May 1st. If you could change one rule about the portal, each one of you, what would you change to handle all these unintended consequences of the portal transfer? Suggestions?
Jenny, you want to go first or do you want, I definitely have opinions.
Yeah, Brad, you always have opinions. For me, there are new rules that just came into effect with, when you get a transfer, an undergrad transfer, they are guaranteed their scholarship the rest of the time they're there. And you can't reduce the aid. You can't, so there's, it's still changing. And so that, we're trying to navigate the portal and the changes that are coming each year. And I don't think that, my personal opinion, I don't think that's going to last very long because it's just going to take a few, star football players going to a school being like, yeah, I want to come play. And then they quit and they get to keep their scholarship and get school paid for. So I think that just those changes all the changes just, it's like, okay, what's this going to look like? What are the unintended consequences of this decision? And that's a difficult part.
How about
So I have a bunch of transfers, and I'm going to get another transfer. So I live and die, not live and die, but I'm living off the transfer portal a little bit to get this place back to where it needs to be, while our freshmen and classes that we're recruiting come up through the ranks and learn how to do what they need to do and everything else. But I don't like the transfer portal because there's no consequences for that. It's given freedom to certain realms, and you're just caught up in this like, you're throwing these things around, and the consequences is really brutal. I mean, coaches are losing their jobs because they're living and dying off of this. So here's what I think. I think that if you're going to go in the transfer portal, on both ends, you have to have a 2-year agreement. It has to be 2 years before you can transfer or do anything else. So you are officially stuck with each other, per se, except for whatever. Maybe it's extreme consequences, a coach gets fired or things like that. But if you're going to make this choice, then you need to go through it and make sure it's an actual fit, instead of just in 1 week you transfer from one place to the other place because you just feel like it's a better fit, and then you're not happy there, and then you leave, and then all of a sudden the coach is stuck with your scholarship or whatever that is. I just don't think that's a very healthy way of doing things. The other thing that bothers me about it, and this is a personal thing, is I feel like we're teaching our youth to run, find the next best thing versus stick things out and learn that going through tough situations actually builds your moral character. It makes you tough. It makes you gritty. It gets you actually prepared for real life. And I know that's loaded because abuse situations, I get all ends of this, but just to give a free pass, you don't like what you want, just throw a coach under the bus and you can just leave and go wherever you want to go. I don't think that helps you as an individual out down the road. Now, if the coach is not a great person and all those other things, I mean, there's two sides of that, and I understand that as well. But that's my
pretty powerful. Well, Bob, you want to?
Nick, I can't quite hear you because of the background noise, but I think what I'd like to see us do right now is change into a little happier subject. Maybe let's talk a little bit about the games that are going to happen tonight. All right, Jenny, Brad, you guys have been in the hunt this year. All right, who looks good to you? What do you think about, you know, the matchups that they're going to be playing in both matches tonight? Jenny, why don't you go first?
Yeah, super excited for both of the matches because I think they're going to be really tight, really competitive. You know, I know Texas, you know, you've got Logan and Molly Phillips and some of those players that have been there for a long time. And the one thing, you know, they don't have is a national championship. So there's going to be that extreme drive. And, but San Diego, God, they're freaking good. They're really, really good. And, you know, if San Diego serves, you know, tough and in the seams and disrupts, you know, their ability to run the middle more, then, you know, it's going to be a tough matchup for Texas. But obviously Texas has weapons everywhere, you know, so if they're even medium pass in system, they're going to be deadly. So, and, you know, as far as the Pitt Louisville, that's the other one, right? Pitt Louisville. I swear I haven't slept since, I don't know, June, July. But, you know, that's an intriguing matchup too, because to me, Pitt just finds ways to win. They find ways to win. They have servers that can get on the line and point score. And, you know, obviously, you know, they've got attacking weapons too. I mean, one of their serving specialists, I don't know her name, but half her hair was like white. I mean, she would go in and go on runs of points every time she served, every time. And like, that's huge when you know you can have a guaranteed point score pretty much coming in. But Louisville, I mean, talk about a complete team, you know, from, you know, the strong outside hitter play, which we know is super important in this game. Raquel's done a great job setting, you know, they're so well coached. So, I mean, that one to me is like, I'd toss up, about a 50-50. I don't know who's going to win.
All right, so Brad,
I
let's
think,
hear your thoughts.
I think you got four very distinct teams. I think you have a Texas team that may be the most physical team in the tournaments. You have two pin hitters that touch around 11 feet, somewhere around there. So at the end of the day, if things fall apart, you can always throw up high balls and they can maybe out physical the rest of the teams. I think it's going to come down to serve and pass for Texas, where it won't be as much for other teams. Like how well is their serve and pass, and what does Skinner do, and what does Logan Eggleston do in the out-of-system games, and how can they really just take over and be who they are? I mean, they're just really elite, international type volleyball players. San Diego's interesting, right? You have maybe the best setter in the entire tournament that understands to go lob the ball overhead to Proling, but it's always gap go, and the ball looks the same, and the outside hitters know how to hit line. And so when you have that sort of a stress and the ball control of what they do, and a setter that has the moxie and the charisma that Blossom has, I think that's a very, very dangerous combination for a team. I think that if San Diego is playing the other two teams, I think they're the favorite. But I think when you're playing Texas, that can out must be 50. San Diego's got to be polished and on top of it. Texas does not. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what that is, but it will come down to Logan and Skinner for them. It will come down to how creative and how consistent Gabby is, and how she can isolate and really overload versus the misdirect. Pitt's the best transition team, I think, in the tournament. They're the best in transition numbers and how they convert points. They're extremely creative with it. I think they now have their opposite playing all 6 rotations, and she has really taken on a load and has really come into her own. Fairbanks is, in my opinion, the Micah Ma of women's volleyball. She kind of does everything and hit, and pass, and dig, and everything. And she's that moxie of a kid. She's that kid for that team. So I think you have a lot there. And, of course, Fisher has always something up his sleeve for late in the season. He can always make that one more. He's got one more move that you're not ready for, which is why I think he's elite. And then you have Louisville, the most consistent team in the entire tournament. They have that attitude, the swagger, and they're the best defensive team in the entire situation. And the only position they needed to reload in was setter. They got a nice one. Clearly, I know that. But you now have DeBeer back. Is she healthy? What does she do? Is she playing all 6 rotations? What load does she come into? How's her connection with Raquel? But as far as a block and defensive team, you'll see Louisville doing some pretty impressive stuff. So it'll be interesting matchups.
Who's going to win?
You summarized everybody, but you didn't pick anybody. So what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
Pitt's gonna win in 5. Texas gonna win in 4, and then I don't know from there. I need to reevaluate after that.
I'm gonna go San Diego in 5 and Pitt in 5.
Oh,
We're in for a long night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's great though.
I'm going to bring a pillow. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to bring a pillow. So that's great. Well, you guys, I really appreciate you coming on. I know Bob and Cathy and Bill. Anybody got a last question for our guests?
Not really, but it's great seeing you guys, and really appreciate you getting on here. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the convention and the matches tonight.
Kathy, we got to catch up. I haven't talked to you in a minute, Kathy. So we got to catch up.
Yeah, we do.
But for all of you guys, thank you so much. I love what you guys are doing, and you guys are the pioneers. You guys are leading the way for us, so keep leading us, please.
Well, this is the first one for us, live at the convention, and everything that's gone wrong could go wrong, and you guys are making it good for us, so thank you.
I'll tell you what, just for everyone out there, just so we know, we're all sitting apart from each other, like 50 feet away, so there's no interference. It's unbelievable right now. Like, I'm looking to my left at Mick to see if he's laughing or not. I look over my shoulder to see who's going first between Jen and I. And then I'm too old and my back doesn't work, so I can't even look at Bob or anyone else right now. It's unbelievable.
Well,
It's working though.
I too want to thank you guys. I mean, I know Fran said it, but I mean, you as coaches have been such a huge part of what I love to learn, and every single one of you have been a huge part of, I think good coaches steal, if you will, and do, learn from other people. And you guys have been huge in our sport. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, you guys. You were outstanding. Love having you.
So Bob, I'm
All right,
gonna
guys.
take if you can hear me. Thank you. You guys enjoy the rest of the convention. We'll see how your predictions come out. Bob, it's back to you.
Okay, thanks, Mick. We do have a couple of things that we just want to go over before we kind of hash around ourselves about, who we think is going to play the best tonight. I do want to mention again, since we did talk a lot about, the transfers. I guess there's 1,375 transfers right now in the portal. It'll be interesting to see how many people we have signing up within the next, 2 days, at the college transfer showcase out here at the AVCA convention. Just for our viewers that might be interested, if you do want to register, just go ahead and get on volleyballmastercoaches.com. Up in the left-hand corner, you'll see college transfer showcase. Just click on that, and we're going to do registration all the way up till the day of the event, since this is a new venture for us. Kath, any thoughts or any questions you have about the convention and or the matches tonight?
Well, one thing I just want to bring up about that, what you guys are doing there at the convention for the transfers. I think, I think this is a great thing, and it's going to continue to take a coach, not so long ago getting out. It's always hard to watch people on film and make a quick decision on somebody. I think having this gives every coach an opportunity to kind of see how somebody interacts, how they, you see that maybe skills that they're not doing, or maybe the people didn't play a lot during the year. And so it really gives coaches some, real confidence in their signing, and people that might not have been on their radar, like really come onto the radar. So I think it's super, and I know it's going to grow. And I think, thank you guys for doing it. So
Add to that, if you were here as a transfer portal person and you were participating tomorrow, there are a large number of coaches. I would probably guess 60, 70, 80% of all the coaches in the country are here for the convention. You could actually get to talk to either the head coach or the assistant coach and actually network a little bit, and they could get to meet you. And sometimes meeting somebody is the difference in getting the offer or just talking to them on the phone.
yeah,
The chemistry and the vibe you get from somebody face to face is completely different than a video and a phone call and an email. So this is a chance to really network for your next position.
exactly.
Mick, any thoughts for you?
I'm sad that I'm not there. That's what I'm sad. I'm not there with you guys. So, yeah, I had a speaking engagement last night and a Christmas party at Michigan State tonight. So, I'm leaving it all to you guys, but yeah, I miss you.
Well, Cathy, who are your picks?
Oh, you know what? It's interesting. It's a very tough one. It really is very difficult,
Come on, pick.
Okay.
That's the house.
I'm going to pick Pitt, even though, I just like what Bizzario is doing. I just think she really has answered a bunch of calls, and she's done a really nice job. The thing I like about her, she never gets phased. She doesn't, even if she gets blocked, she just keeps going. And you don't see any difference in the way she goes about her business. She just wants to win. She does what she needs to do. She can hit from either pin and does a nice job in row one. And that I just like her. And I think that, I'm worried about DeBeer. I'm a little worried about DeBeer, but, and just her health and so I just think that the wounded bear, happy camper, and the last meeting, Louisville thumped Pitt in 3. So I'm kind of picking Pitt with an angry bear, a hungry bear. So Texas, I think, just has so much physicality. I love Gabby Blossom, man. And she played at Penn State, and just loved her there. And she just has this moxie, this fly around. I think that's great. I think that they're going to test him. I think they're going to push him, but I think Texas is going to win.
Mick, what do you think?
Well, I think whoever wins the first match tonight wins the tournament. And I'll tell you why. I think the first match is the hardest match to play. I think it's the most difficult. I think if San Diego can come out on top, they win the whole tournament. If Texas comes out on top, I think the second night they play absolutely free for the championship. So I think it's between San Diego and Texas, and I know that I'm in the minority on this. There's a lot of people that think differently. They think Texas, but they don't think that it's as important as this first match. But I think the harder match for Texas to play is the first night. And so San Diego has the best chance to get them in the opening match. And if that happens, then that changes the whole tournament. If Texas wins, though, tonight, I think they win the whole tournament.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Bill, how about you? What's your picks?
If the injured bear at Louisville, because she slipped and fell in the last match.
Yes, she did.
If there's no damage to her knee and she's 100% and nothing happens to her tonight while they're playing, Louisville beats Pitt. But if something happens to her, I think her team is so upset about her not being able to finish that could affect the outcome. So if they stay healthy, both teams, Louisville over Pitt, San Diego over Texas, every year there's a team of destiny. And it just seems to me that San Diego's the team of destiny. So I say San Diego, Louisville in the final. And if it gets to San Diego, Louisville in the final, I got to go with the AD who hired me at Houston, Billy McGillis. And I go San Diego over Louisville in the final.
Well, I love what you're saying here. I think this is a close one all the way around. So there's a lot of good things here. Everybody's kind of picking different, but anyone.
Plus, Mick has to buy a steak for the AD from San Diego, so that's why I'm picking San Diego.
So who are you going with, Bob? Who are you going with?
Well, I have a little bit different take on it. I mean, we've worked all the numbers and putting all that stuff aside. And what Bill's saying, I think, is really true. But assuming that everybody is at 100%, I'm going to go with the teams that have been in the tournament before, because over all these years, I don't know, 30-something years of NCAA championships, I don't know if I'm right here, but I don't believe anybody has won the national championship that hasn't been in the tournament before. So I would go with Texas. They've been here before. And I think I would go with Louisville because they've been here before. And then when they both match up, I'd probably lean towards Texas. So I'm going with the 1 seeds.
Okay, interesting.
Those were some good picks. That was interesting.
So how many games?
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be 3-1, 3-1.
Ooh.
I think they're going to be really close. I think both matches are going to be really close.
It's not going 5.
Why do you say that? What's your thing here, Bill?
Because I think that it's a neutral site, and the team that gets up and gets ahead stays ahead most of the time. They might lose one set, but I think it goes 3-1. There's no home court advantage to come back on.
For sure.
If you get down, I think there's not enough people in the stands screaming your name to help bring you back. And I think that goes to what Mick was saying. The team that wins the first match. I think there's a lot of tension in the first match.
Oh, there's so much tension. And I think it could be if San Diego comes out hard, Texas is going to be nervous for sure. Yeah.
I think anybody who gets a lead, the other team really gets nervous because you want to get to tomorrow night. And that's why I say 3-1, 3-1.
Who's this Nebraska crowd going to root for in the first match?
Yeah, San Diego.
Yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah.
They're going to cheer
Good
for San
point.
Diego.
Good point.
And they're going to root for who in the second match?
Louisville.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. You're right about that. I didn't give that whole Danny thing.
That's another good way to look at it.
You're right.
See,
that's because I'm not running around
I
over
called
there.
it. I called it. I got my house bet on this.
I did not put the Danny equation in there. You are absolutely right. And that can be fierce. That can be fierce. You're right. I think they do a great job over there. I mean, she's really has. I'm worried, and again, I might be overestimated. Just when I watched DeBeer hit her and then she landed on her leg again, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And it was right at the end of the match about that, because I think she is a catalyst for them. She just really she's, man, I love watching her play. She plays with so much heart, and she, you know, she doesn't care. She just goes back and she just makes things happen. So she is really the X factor for them.
And they have a good sub for her if she is hurt, but I just
Yeah,
think
she's
that
good.
I just think that
Fire.
yeah, you just try to hope that she's healthy enough to at least play back row.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, group, we're just about out of time. All right. I know, Cathy, the three of us are excited to be able just to go out and enjoy this convention.
Oh, it's to me tonight.
Yeah, it's just an unbelievable environment, and I'm real excited for the AVCA. I'm very sorry that Cathy DeBoer is not here this year, but I heard she's doing very well and, you know, on the mend. So, you know, our best wishes and prayers are out to her. And, well, we'll look forward to talking with everybody again in the new year on Wednesday Weekly Buzz.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, you guys.
Hey,
Really fun.
we'll see you soon.
Cathy, we're going to toast to the East tonight for